Greetings from this side, and today we are going to continue with the IELTS listening test tutorials. Today we are going to look at some key points, and my name is always Appiah-Antwi. So we are going to look at the things you are supposed to do before the test. So pre-test activities. The most important thing you're supposed to do before the IELTS listening test is to develop your general listening skills. Please pay attention. Do not use practice tests to develop your skill. That is what people do. When they are ready to write a test, they only concentrate on practice tests. That is not advisable. What you should do is to engage in activities that will improve your listening skills, your ability to appreciate the English, spoken English, oral English, that is listening. That is what I mean by that. What activities can you do? You can listen to radio reports in English. You can watch TV shows, like talk shows or like seasonal movie shows, like Game of Thrones and then the others, right? You can also watch documentaries where you hear people talk about things. They use a lot of words in context to describe things, to talk about things. Typical examples would be BBC F and then Royal Antique Show. You see, these people, they'll put something on a table and they will talk about it. You listen to them. Listen to the way they use the words, some words, and how they use them in instances. So when you engage in these activities, you can watch news reports too, TV news reports. You sit down, you watch BBC, France 24, Al Jazeera, Sky News, CNN, English-speaking news reports. And then when you listen to them, make sure you just don't hear them. Listen to them. Listening is making the effort to appreciate what is being said. If you are not making the effort, you're only hearing. So you listen and then you appreciate the sounds of the English language in words, right? Because you need this. So these are activities you can engage in to develop this skill that is going to be tested. Now let us look at during the test. Word types. Decide what type of word is the answer. Noun, verbs, adverbs, or adjectives. I don't have space. I would have displayed a sample test question. What do I mean by this? What I mean is that when you get your test booklet with the questions, you will see the questions displayed on the pages with spaces. And then don't forget, they will always give you time to read a number of questions before they play the audio for those questions. When they give you time to read those questions and you are going through, when you get to the blank spaces where you are supposed to put in the answer or the answers, try to predict the word type or the word types of the answers. Try to predict. This might be a noun. This might be a verb. This might be an adverb. This might be an adjective. How do you predict that? Use words that are occurring around that area. Sometimes you see an article, or an, then you know that the answer is likely to be a noun, right? So that is an example. Try to predict the word types. Please, the word types are not the answers. You are just trying to think ahead before the audio plays. And this should not take time. It should take few seconds. If you are somebody who is familiar with the English content, doing this is not difficult. If you don't know how to do it as you engage in practice tests, try to do it. Now let us move on to the next point. That is, plug in the situation. Try to follow the situation that makes up the audio. It is a story. It will begin with an introduction. Every section of the test will begin with an introduction. A typical example will be, now you will hear a dialogue between, then they continue. So that is a context they are giving you. Or it could also be, you will hear a lecture and then they will add other things. So this is like an intro. This is where you plug in the situation. This is where you try to follow from. Try to appreciate. And then when you do that, try to, because it will be mentioned, they will mention the speakers. Listen, find out who the speakers are. Like you hear a lecture from a student or from a university professor. That is the person talking, right? And then they will talk about why they are speaking. It will be mentioned in the introduction. Follow. Don't say this is not part of the audio. This part of the audio is not going to give me answers, so I'm not going to follow. No, follow that one too. Where are they? It will be mentioned. And when you did that, it's like you form the basis of your understanding of the rest of the audio. So do that. Plug in the situation. It is very important. Now let us move on to the next one. It says, don't lose attention. There will be a lot of things going on. People will be fidgeting. The invigilators will be talking. They will be giving instructions. They will be prompting people. Don't lose attention. Concentrate. People will be dropping their books, or let me say their pencils, or their erasers, or their sharpeners, or their papers. Don't get distracted. Go into the test with the understanding that you need to hear every single word in the 30 minutes audio. Every word is important. So whatever you do, don't lose attention. Because you will hear the audio only once. They will not play the audio and replay it again. No. And then as you listen to the audio, if by any unfortunate chance you don't hear some words, don't dwell on it. Continue. Even if you miss some answers, leave the space blank. Continue. Because if you dwell on it, if you try to recollect at that moment, you are likely to lose more answers. Review at the end of the section or part and guess the answer. So after every section or part, you have 30 seconds to go through your answer. Use this time to go over your answers, and then in this moment you can ponder over what you heard, go back on what you heard, and try to predict the answer. And the answer will be right, I can assure you, because you've just heard the audio. So, and then you have the context, the questions in front of you. So trying to recollect the answer will not be difficult. You need to apply that during your practice test, and then you see how easy it could be. Don't forget, don't lose attention, because apart from the things that are occurring around you, you are doing 3 things yourself. You are listening to the audio, you are reading the questions, and you are writing your answers. So you are already occupied. So if you are going to lose attention, it means you are going to complicate your situation. Now let us look at another point. It says, watch out words indicators. These are normally adverbs, and they are used to either lead you away from the answer or lead you to the answer. Words like however, but, then, finally, especially during the question type, multiple choice question types. You see that it is always made up of a question with normally 3 or 4 alternatives. More often than not, all the alternatives are in the audio. It is up to you to make the correct choice. And how they normally weave such a question or in the audio is with these indicators, however, but, then, finally. So for example, they can ask you a question. When did Mr. Williams start his business? and then they'll put maybe 1990, 1992, and 1994. 3 alternatives. You are going to hear all these alternatives in the audio. But they could start by saying that Mr. Williams, in the audio, it could be like Mr. Williams decided to start his business in the year 1990. But, but has come. Due to some unforeseen circumstances, he decided to move it to 1992. Finally, he was able to establish the business in 1994. You see the way they do it. So if you don't listen to the audio well and appreciate these words indicators, you could fall victim of this trick. So be careful when you listen to the audio. And please don't write your answers too quickly. This is a standard test audio, and it is designed in such a way that you have the time you need to listen to the audio, to ponder, to take out the answer and write. So relax and take your time, and then as you listen to the audio and you read the questions, the answers will flow to you. Don't write too quickly. Sometimes they will deliberately give you the wrong answer, mention the wrong answer, and correct it in the audio, especially during the spelling. So it could be like, my name is Williams. Can you spell me Williams? And then they'll probably like take one L out, and then you write the one with only one L. And then if you don't pay attention, you see that it will be corrected in the audio. Maybe one of the speakers will say, no, you didn't bring an L, add an L, and then it has been corrected. And then if you went in for the first one, you are wrong because you decided to go in for the answers too quickly. So take your time, the answers will come to you. Now let us look at the next one. It says check for trivial mistakes. Check for trivial mistakes. Like I said, after every part or section, you have 30 seconds to go through your answers. And within these 30 seconds, check for trivial mistakes. Mistakes like spelling mistakes that you didn't intend. Don't say, oh, I don't need this time because I've already answered the questions. No, go through it. Sometimes you drop the S of some plurals, and sometimes you lose, you drop an E here or there. And word forms are very important because, for example, the word like take, right? Take is a verb. We have the bear form, take. We have the S form, takes. We have the ED form, took. We have the EN form, taken. We have the ING form, taken. Which one is supposed to be the answer? This is for verbs. And when we come to words in general too, we have forms of words. A word like slow. We have slow as an adjective, slow boat, slow as a verb, slowly an adverb, slowness a noun. So which one is supposed to be the answer? So appreciate the forms of words. How do you appreciate the forms of words? Read wide, read more, so that you come into contact with a lot of words, so that you build your linguistic, or let me say your vocabulary repertoire. Transfer answers accurately. Don't forget, I told you in the initial lecture that you are going to have a question booklet and an answer sheet. And then within the regulation time of the test, you are supposed to answer into the question booklet. That is 30 minutes, after which you are given 10 minutes to transfer. When you are transferring, make sure the answer to question 1 goes in front of the number 1. Make sure the answer to question 2 goes in front of the number 2 on the answer sheet. If you don't take your time to transfer and you go and put the answer to question 3 in front of number 4, it means number 4 is wrong, number 3 is also wrong, and then it could affect all the subsequent numbers because it has shifted. So be very, very conscious, and cautious. Don't leave any blank answers. Take a guess. I've just mentioned how you can guess. Within that 30 seconds, go over the answers and make guesses based on what you recollect from the audio. If you leave a blank answer, you are going to get it wrong. If you try with a guess, you may get it right. So that is it. So this is the end of my tutorial of the IELTS listening test. If you have any questions, you can DM me or you can put it in the comments side. You can talk about it. Okay, thank you.